Welcome to part 14 of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 Let's Play.
You're back sooner than I expected. Omega is still in pursuit of Westopolis. So, where's the kid? What did you find 10 years ago?
I need you to access GUN's database. Specifically, find out what materials the Scepter of Darkness was made from.
Sure. But you haven't answered my question yet.
I found the means to seal Westopolis.
Okay, so now that we are back from the past, I guess his shadow finally figured out. Oh, just a simple scepter, huh? Shouldn't be a problem. So we have to find the archaeologist. Oh, there she is. Never mind. But before we can progress with the plot, we have a random group of enemies to fight. And again, I am not doing that that shameless Final Fantasy cut that I did like back in part 3. That was very shameless of me. I do apologize. I'm still messing around in my editing studio at this point. However, I think this might be very short. Yeah, this is very short, so you don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about it being too long, at least. Just have to defeat that last guy. Yeah. Okay, so now that we are done with that pointless group of enemies, we can now figure out what's going on here. So she's saying that she's researching the Scepter of Darkness, and she's saying on how to make it. Basically, when the black flame lights the candle of darkness. Okay, so the black flame, no problem. Candles are everywhere, but where do I find this candle of darkness? And what's that black flame? It's black flame. Can't you generate light? How the hell do you know that? And then she's all like, "Hey, look at me! Hey, I want to be in the credits too. Yeah, I'm significant.
Perfect.
I'm very significant in this plot, even though this game's plot is all. I don't want to stretch it." So now that that's out of the way, we can now head to the area. But before we head to the area with the where the candles of darkness are at, and yes, I say candles, not candle, because there are multiple candles. We have one more item to get, and that's the memory shard black, which costs us 10,000 rings. And this is pretty much the final upgrade to our chaos boost powers. I'll show it off when we head to the next stage of the game, Wave Ocean. And yes, the reason why I'm not saying it's a pointless stage this time, because it actually has some significance. I know. All right. Oh, and we're not. Technically, Wave Ocean isn't the first stage in Shadow's story, thank God. So what we have to do here is use Shadow's Chaos Sphere to light these 4 candles. And I'm missing the candles, so once all 4 candles are lit, we get the Scepter of Darkness. Yes. So, let's go. Let's go to Wave Ocean.
Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Westopolis. Head to the Wave Ocean, head to Wave Ocean. Agent Shadow, E123 Omega has engaged Westopolis. Head to Wave Ocean immediately.
Top class, this Sonic 06. Top class. Seriously, how the hell did they leave that in? And then again, this game was rushed, but still, how the hell can you leave that in? It's one of the most that has to be one of the more jarring examples of it's just jarring, you know? I mean, he screwed up the line, he redid the line, and they kept that screw up in the game. Okay, so now we are heading into Wave Ocean, and this is the only time where I'm going to show off how pointless these hang gliding segments are. All I'm doing here is holding down the X button, right? So it's going through the stage, you know. All I'm doing is holding down X, just to speed up the process, and this has to be the longest hang gliding segment in in all of Shadow's story. Well, if you're not counting the DLC. Now, I'm probably not gonna show off the DLC. I mean, Sonic's DLC, okay, hey, there's not much different going on, but it's at least doable. Silver's, I don't know. Shadow's, hell no. I'm definitely not doing Shadow's DLC. Well, then again, that's up for you guys to decide. Maybe I'll do the DLC. But since I have the PS3 version, I only have the... I can only show off the very hard mode DLC. The DLC that I mentioned earlier. So, okay, now we're back as Omega. Huh. Once again, and the only effective method to attacking is jumping and spamming the square button and on these Iblis monsters. But as you can see, how I'm staying in the air, I am tapping the X button. The reason why I'm tapping the X button, I'm actually showing off. Actually, I think it's right here. Here, so you can glide with the X button, but as you can see here, I'm tapping it. If you hold down the X button, and Omega does a very short and not at all effective, useful glide. However, if you tap the X button, and Omega will, he will slowly decrease in altitude, but still, if you tap the X button, you can take massive shortcuts and break the levels as much as you can. And I guess in terms of speed, he's a lot faster than Sonic and Shadow. I don't understand why. But yeah, see? I'm tapping the X button, and Omega was losing very little altitude. Just, I guess they must have overlooked that. Or maybe like Omega was a throwaway character. I don't know. That could be it. That would make sense. Oh, suddenly Mephiles. Oh, okay. Did you see that? For like a split second, before we actually take control of Shadow, you can see Shadow in his Model T pose. It was, you know, the T pose. It was before you start animating, or at least, you know, before the animators use, before they start animating with that model. Yeah, that kind of T pose, basically. And you could just see it. You could just see it. Wow. But now we're in a really big open area. Well, it's not really open. It's not so big or so open in a wave ocean. But it is a new area, and well, I might as well show it off. Oh well, I've never seen. That's funny. I Lightspeed dashed and Shadow was just going around the rocks. Was just going around the rocks like, hey, I can't stop. So how the hell do you get up there? Use this rock? No. How do you get up there? This is weird. Might as well check that area out. Oh, what the? Wait a minute. They put the buggy here? Yeah, it's like they. Yeah, I think this area was going to serve much more of a purpose, but no, it's just here. And since these corners are so tight, I can't drive this buggy through this pier, so I'll just take this way. I'll just go on foot. Of course, they expect you to use the buggy here, thanks to those ramps. But yeah, actually, the area is actually very similar to White Acropolis, actually, where you have pieces of land that are raised pieces of land, and you have this buggy, and there's like ramps and for the buggy to use. It's all similar, actually. But now let's press on with the stage. I gotta say, that was actually very interesting. That was interesting indeed. And shout out to the Brian U. Sonic Reborn actually for the Sonic 2006 project for Sonic Generations and actually making that area much more useful. It's optional, yes, but it's still cool. Now what I'm showing off is Shadow's level 3 Chaos Spear. You hold down the Chaos Spear button like usual, and not only will it attack damage on enemies, but it'll leave a much bigger blast, because actually level 3 of Shadow's Chaos Boost is Chaos Blast. It doesn't work just like how it did in Shadow the Hedgehog, but it does work. Oh man. But it does work along with the Chaos Sphere. It's just a shame that it wasn't as useful as before. That would have been cool, you know? That would have been awesome to have. Or at least Chaos Control too, that would have been awesome. But now, we can beat the crap out of these enemies. Just beat the crap out of these Mephiles and Iblis monsters. And now let's go through this hovercraft segment the right way. Hey, now, in comparison to the hovercraft part in in Kingdom Valley, this is nowhere near as dangerous. In fact, you have a little bit more room to drive around and be a bit more reckless. As long as you don't carelessly fire at the rocks or whatever, meaning that they don't crash down on you, you should be good. So yeah, you can, as long as you're careful, you can go crazy.
Yes.
Oh man, there goes the hovercraft. But anyway, guys, that is part 4. But anyway, that is part 14, and in part 15, we're gonna be finishing up Shadow's story. See you guys then.
This only proves you were created to stop Shadow, the ultimate life form. Don't tell me you didn't know. You may have been programmed by humanity, but what you did to Shadow in the future, that was your...
What just happened?
Shadow. The one that defeats and seals you in the future is me.
It's so unfair. Shadow's always here to defend the world. Despite that,
Eventually, when something or someone is seen as too powerful, it is seen as a threat. And then the world becomes its enemy.
Shadow? Even if you believe everyone in the world will be against you, know that I'll always remain by your side. Remember that.
I will.